Grapes and Snails Acrylic Painting Tutorial by HotPinkZebraPaper. So I'm going to airbrush my background with a combination of a couple shades of green and a couple shades of purple paint, and then I'm going to also add just a little bit of black at the end just to really detail it a little bit and give it some darker hues. And so now I'm going to begin by painting my stem and leaf on my grapes. So with a really bright shade of green paint, I'm just going to go over everything with that first layer just to sort of block it out so I know where it is, and it makes it easier when you're painting your grapes. And so now I'm going to be painting my grapes, so I'm going to go over them with just sort of this medium purple shade and just paint every single one, but I'm going to paint each one individually. If you paint over the entire mass of grapes at once, you're going to lose a lot of their own individual shape, and then when you go to fill them in later, it's going to be a lot more difficult because you're going to lose each one, and they're just going to become this single mass. And so I would recommend painting over each one, and don't do one right after the other in a row. Kind of split it up a little bit so that they dry at different times. It'll just make it easier in the end. So now I'm going to start shading in my grapes, and it's the same thing. I'm going to kind of skip around and do one here and one there just so that they have some dry time in between doing ones that are right next to each other. And I'm using a mix of sort of a periwinkle color, black, white, purple, and a lavender color. And also just a little bit of blue. You don't want each grape to have the exact same color recipe. You want to switch it up a little bit, add different ingredients here and there, and make it a colorful stew, if that makes any sense. So don't go through the same process for each one. Make some a little darker, some a little lighter, some a little bit more on the blue side, some without hardly any of that blue tone. Just mix it up so that when you're looking at them, they have lots of dimension and lots of texture. So once you have all that done, I'm just going to go through with some diluted white paint, and I'm just going to highlight each and every grape. So just take and always highlight on the same side. So if you're highlighting on the left side of your grapes, always highlight on the left side, right side, and so on and so forth. And then I'm going to go through and I'm just going to start working on my greens. So I'm going to do some work on the stems first. And for the stems, I blended in I first went over with another coat of that light green. And then I added in some darker greens and some browns and some whites just to give them lots of that texture and dimension, and making sure that they don't look totally smooth, because natural things aren't necessarily totally smooth. And then I'm going to go over the bigger section of the stem. And that one is going to be a little bit smoother than those little ones where all the grapes are attached to. And so now I'm going to add just a couple more blue tones to my grapes with some diluted blue paint. After they had dried, it didn't quite look blue enough, so I decided to add some more. And I'm going to add some more highlights with some white. And then on my leaf, I'm going to be first covering it with a layer of that light green and then blending in some of that darker green while the light green is still wet. So I'm going to blend down the center of my leaf and then down where each vein would be. And then just in some areas, like I have a wrinkle on the one side, so you want to make sure that you define that with some blending. And then with diluted white, I'm going to be adding the veins in my leaf. And this is a very time-consuming process, so make sure that you are ready for it. So you're going to want to add the vein down the center and then each of those veins that you added with the shadow, and then fill in between each of those bigger sections with lots of little tiny lines. And I'm going to add the little part of the leaf that's turned up, make it a little bit lighter. And now to paint my snails, I'm going to start with a combination of tan on his body and then brown on his shell. And then I'm going to blend some orange into his shell, and then some white, and then some brown onto his body, and some white. And then I'm going to add all these little brown spots on his back just to give him some texture. And then highlight some of those with white. And then add a series of lines on his shell to give that texture with orange, white, brown, and black. And then give him a shadow around each snail. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this painting. Please comment with any questions you might have, and also check me out for the rest of my art on Facebook and Instagram. I post everything there. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!